Maybe you're a little more snappy, or maybe you withdraw, or maybe you're talking a lot, or shutting down and not talking at all. Get out of the shutdown so that you feel equipped and resilient and capable of handling life and handling what life is giving you. It can be really frustrating to feel so triggered that you have a hard time speaking your words out. We bring these states into situations where they actually can cause a little bit more harm than good. Okay, guys, I want you to listen carefully to everything in this episode because you're going to leave this episode feeling so equipped, having so many practical tools that you can use immediately when it comes to how to regulate your nervous system, how to regulate your emotions, what to do when you're feeling flooded, what to do when you're feeling dysregulated, especially under high pressure situations or just in everyday life when you feel like you get triggered or something happens and your nervous system just gets hijacked and you don't know how to get yourself back to center, which is where you want to be, back to a sense of safety. So I highly recommend that you really tune in to all of the practical tools that I'm going to give you here today because I'm going to give you a bunch. If you are listening, that's totally fine. I'm going to explain it with words as accurately as I possibly can. But I do recommend to watch this on YouTube just so you can see some of the tools that I'm going to give you that I'm going to show you physically. But regardless, you can listen to this anyways and take away a whole lot, a whole lot. So we're going to go into what you can do when you're feeling flooded, when you're feeling triggered, when your nervous system is dysregulated. And let's talk about that for a little bit because I think we've all experienced traumatizing events or when too much happens too soon, or you're in a situation where you feel like you're out of control and your nervous system gets dysregulated. Or a better way to put it, it's not that you're dysregulated, it's just that you're too far into a zone of fight or flight or shutdown. And these are not bad states. They're just your body trying to give you a little hint that, hey, not feeling too safe here. Let's return back to safety. So, the core of all of this is really about safety. And let's just get a little clear first what we're talking about so that it's easier for you to understand how to implement these things. So, when you're feeling triggered, when you're feeling flooded with emotion, when something happens and you notice you can't think straight and you're stuck in this feeling in your body, you're going into either a fight or flight state, and sometimes we stay there for a really long time, and that can then feel like a functional freeze. And you might feel like you can't concentrate. You might feel like you are very emotional. You have a hard time sleeping if you get stuck there for too long, a lot of energy in your hands, and you just can't fully relax. You can tell that you're just a little on edge. All the alarm buttons are going off in your body. And this is your body's way of saying, hey, I'm trying to feel safe, and whatever's happening now in my internal environment or external environment is signaling to me that I am not safe. And it puts you in this state so that you can do what you need to do in order to create a sense of safety for yourself. So this is an evolutionary benefit, really, in order to keep us alive. The only thing is that for a lot of people, we have gone through a lot of traumatizing experiences, and sometimes we project a sense of threat onto situations that are actually not a threat. And that's when it becomes very frustrating. And I'm sure you've had this experience where you're in a situation and you mentally know that you're safe and you're okay, but for some reason, and that reason doesn't make sense, your body is not picking up on the cue. So no matter how much you mentally tell your body, "Oh, but I'm okay, stop freaking out," your body is just stuck in either a functional freeze, a shutdown, or a fight or flight state. So Let's go a little deeper into this because the most important thing you can do before we go into the practices. So, this is number one before we go into the practices. And this is why I'm opening up the conversation here to talk about what is it that happens with us when we feel triggered. You need an awareness of what it is that you're experiencing in your body. And for a lot of people, we don't even have that awareness to begin with. We just get reactive, we get triggered, we say things that we regret. I'm sure you've had experiences where maybe you got a little hot-headed and you said something to a close one, and afterwards you were like, what did I say? Why did I say that? And that often comes from an inability to regulate ourselves in high pressure environments or high pressure situations where we're feeling triggered. So let's talk a little bit about the three autonomic states that you go into depending on the situation. So you have an awareness around this, right? I mentioned this already a little bit, but let's get super clear. Number one is your sympathetic state. This is your fight or flight. So you're activated, everything's urgent, you feel anxious, you can't relax. You feel like if you could go for a run, that would probably help. Or, that's the state that you're in when people are like, punch a pillow, scream into a pillow, get the anger out of your body. I have a couple of thoughts around that, by the way. If whether or not that is helpful or not, that's a discussion for another time. But when you're in the fight or flight state, you either want to fight something or you want to run away because there's a perceived threat. The blood goes away from your prefrontal cortex. It's it's challenging to make decisions, to have rational thought because your body is just screaming, either fight whatever's happening now or run away so that you can stay alive, basically. Now, that's a very primal state that is useful for evolutionary purposes and for us to stay alive. But the thing is, we bring these states into situations where they actually can cause a little bit more harm than good. And that's where having this education around how to regulate ourselves so that if we do get too charged, too triggered for our own benefit, that we have the ability to regulate that, to regulate ourselves. And I know that this can be really frustrating for a lot of people, and this is why I want to make this episode because it can be really frustrating to feel so triggered that you have a hard time thinking your words out or speaking your words out or feel really uncomfortable and unsafe in your body. And no matter what you do or what you think or where you go, the state is still there. So, again, I'm going to give you some practices on how to instantly shift your state into a more calm, regulated, centered, and aligned state, regardless of what's going on around you. Of course, you need to be in a safe environment. However, a lot of times we are in safe environments, and it's okay for us to take a break and just shift our state solely for the purpose of us feeling good in our bodies. Because again, we all know how frustrating it is when we're triggered, we're charged, and we don't know how to calm it down. So, first of all, get an awareness. What am I feeling right now? Am I in a sympathetic state when you're activated, fight or flight, or a dorsal vagal? What is dorsal vagal? That is the shutdown. So the shutdown, by the way, I know I've just like talked about, the vagus nerve and assume that you guys know what that is, but the vagus nerve is what's involved in regulating us in between all these different states. I'm not going to go into too much sort of scientific terms and nomenclature, but if you want to dive deeper into this, there's the polyvagal theory book that I highly recommend. There's also a long, nice episode on YouTube with Huberman about how to control the vagus nerve. I'm going to give you a lot of these tips here today. And there's a lot of scientific information out there that you can go into. The vagus nerve isn't solely responsible for calming you down. It's actually responsible for a lot of different functions in the body. But for the purpose of this episode, we're going to be talking about how to chill out. But just to put it out there to be scientifically correct, the vagus nerve is involved in arousal as well. So I just want to put that out there. So, dorsal vagal, the shutdown. What is dorsal vagal? So, again, I just want you to focus on fight or flight, shutdown, or safety. So we went through sympathetic, fight or flight. Dorsal vagal now is the shutdown. That's when the shutdown often comes when you've been going through too much for too long. You've been staying in the fight or flight for too long, or a situation is too overwhelming and your nervous system can't handle it. So you go into a total shutdown. This is when you feel numb, you feel collapsed, you feel overwhelmed and burnt out. Doing tasks feel really difficult. You don't feel like you're in your normal everyday functioning state. Anything feels like climbing a mountain. Again, for evolutionary purposes, this is your nervous system saying, it's been too much. You're shutting down now. You need a break. Stop. Like, stop, basically. It's your nervous system going, we need a good break. You can't think about anything. You can't do anything. And you can't feel anything either. So sometimes feeling things very intensely for a really long time can be extremely draining if there's too much emotional processing. And when that happens, your nervous system just shuts down. It goes into dorsal vagal. Again, don't worry too much about the words. Just remember fight or flight, shut down, and the next one we're going to go into is safety. So when you're in shutdown, you've just had too much. You got to check out. It's a form of dissociating, which actually sometimes is helpful if you've had too much, if you can't deal anymore with what life is presenting you. However, it's not a comfortable place to be in. And of course, we want to be able to recover from this and be able to become fully functional again. It's not about, oh, now I'm just like non-functioning and I'll just stay here. Most people would like to recover and get out of the shutdown so that you feel equipped and resilient and capable of handling life and handling what life is giving you, right? So I'm just naming this state here so that you can be aware of, okay, which state am I in? The third one is ventral vagal. That's the safety feeling. That's when you're feeling grounded, connected, and you have calm focus. So again, I'm just naming these three states, fight or flight, shutdown, or safety, so that you can have an awareness of which state am I in, and we can fluctuate in between these several times in the day. So none of these are bad. None of these are you should fear. It's just being aware of which state am I in. And also each of these states, it's not black or white, like now I am in a full-on fight or flight, or now I'm in a full-on safety. Sometimes we can have a little small degree. Oh, feeling a little bit of fight or flight right now. Not a full-on, like I'm terrified, I need to go and run away because I feel like I'm gonna die. That can happen too. But sometimes you can have a small surge of a fight or flight feeling. Or sometimes you can feel a little bit of a shutdown, beginning to feel a little numb, beginning to feel a little dissociated, right? And the reason we're bringing awareness to this is so that you can earlier on recognize, oh, this is happening. Where do I want to take myself from this place? So that you can feel empowered to navigate yourself and your state in between these states. Because a lot of times people are too fearful to name what they're feeling because they feel like, oh, if I name that I'm in fight or flight, I'm just going to be in more fight or flight. So I'll just try to ignore it. And then you're going into emotional suppression. And in the background, it's still just running, right? So that's basically not healthy. It's not a healthy thing to do with your nervous system and your emotions, is just to ignore it and just hope that it goes away. We want you to feel equipped, like I said, to be able to handle anything that comes your way and calm yourself down and navigate yourself in between these different states. So, like I said, that's fight or flight. When you feel like you're punching something or you want to run away. There's shutdown when you're collapsing and you're like, I am feeling numb, dissociated, can't deal anymore. Or there's safety, the ventral vagal, when you're feeling grounded, connected, calm. When everything feels like, there's no alarm bells going off. Everything is the way that it's supposed to be. You can focus, you can concentrate, you can, be present and you have energy and it's just all is well. Yes, I know you're gonna say, yep, that's the preferred state, right? And then again, I'm just mentioning these three states so that you can, number one, excuse me, be aware, which state am I in, and bring this awareness with you as much as you can so that you can begin to regulate yourself. Okay, so a few little body cues to be aware of. A lot of people are completely shut off from their bodies and they don't even know how to recognize which state that they're in. So again, I want you to label, what am I feeling right now? Okay, sometimes we can actually feel like, oh, I can't, my prefrontal cortex isn't working. Like I can't think, I must be in a fight or flight, or I have no motivation to do anything. I think I'm starting to be in a bit of a shutdown. So begin labeling it. And body cues, for example, for fight or flight, your heart rate might go up, most likely. Your breathing will go up. You hear your heart beating harder and faster. You might have more shallow breath. You might have muscle tension. You can feel your hands and shoulders tensing up, and you might get a little hotter, right? And maybe an emotion is like there's some dread or anxiety or urgency, and you're like, oh, you have a hard time relaxing in the now moment. And your behavior might change. Maybe you're a little more snappy, or maybe you withdraw, or maybe you're talking a lot, or shutting down and not talking at all. Notice these behavioral cues, these emotional cues, and these body cues that will help you be able to label what you're experiencing and then normalize it. So many times we're fearful of what we're feeling. And especially in the spiritual community, where a lot of times people place this expectation of themselves to be enlightened gurus and to just be happy. And if they're not, then they're failing some sort of spiritual quest, which is so far from the real truth. We're all emotional beings here, and we have these primal instincts and we have this animalistic parts of our brains that are there to help us survive. And we need to come into acceptance of what we are feeling and have compassion and self-love for that. And that will be the compass that will enable you to navigate your emotions and your body and your state. So that was number one. Bring awareness to what are you feeling, be able to label it. Am I in fight or flight? Am I in safety? And am I in shutdown? Bring awareness to that. So now we're going to go into some practices. Exciting. Okay, this is the fun part. Now we can begin to do something about it. And I'm going to give you the most powerful instant shift that you can do. That's, in my opinion, the most effective that you can do anywhere because it won't require any devices, it won't require any particular environment. Maybe you can look a little funny if you just, maybe you can't do this in the middle of a speech on stage, although you kind of can, in my opinion. I wouldn't mind if people did that. But this is the thing, breathing. I mentioned this in a couple other episodes too, but I'm going to show you a particular breathing exercise that I haven't shown in the other episodes. I showed the box breathing, which I'll remind you of here again. But I'm going to show you the breath that will shift your state like immediately. So it's the parasympathetic breath, and it's a type of breathing that will help to instantly activate your vagus nerve, basically help you calm down and regulate yourself. So first I'll explain it with words, and then I'll give you a demonstration. Basically, what you want to do is inhale, a big inhale through your nose. And at the top of that inhale, another little inhale, like a quick, as much as you can to fill up your lungs. And then I want you to exhale longer for then compared to when you inhaled. So I'll say that again. I want you to do a nice big inhale through your nose. At the top of that inhale, another quick little, get as much air in as you can. You don't overly strain yourself, but you get as much as you can. And then you're going to exhale through your mouth as slow as you possibly can so that your exhale is longer than your inhale. So it goes like this. You can listen or you can watch this on the video. So you inhale in through your nose, another little inhale, exhale through your mouth, And it can help to make this kind of yogic H sound when you're exhaling. And you don't want to do a and just lose all the air at the same time or all at once because it's the long exhale that's going to shift the oxygen level and the CO2 level in your body, and that's what's going to influence the sinoatrial node, your vagus nerve, and a lot of chemical processes in your body that will basically trigger your vagus nerve and help you feel more relaxed. So I instantly feel different just doing that. It really has an instant effect. So we'll do it again so you could do it with me. In through the nose. One more. Exhale through the mouth. Boom. There you go. So this is great to do whenever you are noticing the early stages of a shift in your state. If you're going into fight or flight and you're feeling triggered, your emotions are taking over, maybe you're around the house and suddenly maybe you just have a flooding of anxious thoughts and you need to just shift your state. This is a really powerful, effective tool that you can do for that. I'm going to give you another one that you can just use more throughout the day. And I'm giving you several different breathing practices here that I want you to implement on a daily basis because the more you do this, the more that you actually train yourself to be able to automatically shift into a calm, regulated, aligned state. So you will actually kind of build a muscle here where you can be exposed to triggers, you can be exposed to challenging situations, and you will have more resilience because you've trained yourself to be able to regulate yourself. So I want you to practice these things on a daily basis. So that was the most powerful breathing one that you can do. There's another one that's a little simpler that doesn't require so much well, basically it will look less weird because a lot of people sigh. And what we're going to do now is called the physiological sigh. And it's less, it will bring less attention to you. It looks more normal because you're basically just sighing. So you're just inhaling through your nose and then you're just exhaling. It's basically a more calm version of the first one. And I want you to practice having longer exhales throughout the day because, again, that's what's going to train that vagus nerve. Another thing you can do is humming. So there's a lot of people who are aware of that singing and humming has an extremely strong healing effect and can be very calming. And of course, there's, the regular humming. You go, and that can help. Oming can help too. So the famous Om, you know, Om. That can help. And there's a last hum that can help too. And I'm gonna demonstrate this one. It can be a little more challenging to do, but with practice, you can really nail this one down. So it's a humming where you focus on the H and you try to bring the energy down into your chest and into your diaphragm. So you take an inhale, and I'll just share the sound with you because that's the easiest way to pick up on what to do. So it goes like this. You inhale. And on the exhale, focus on bringing the energy down into your chest and to your diaphragm. So you can bring your attention to your chest and your diaphragm, like I said. You can bring it a little more sound to it too. So there's a little bit more of a but I don't want you to do too much So this one was almost purely H, the one that I just did, because if you do that can be a little too stimulating. But if you focus on the H and you go that's the sound that will have more of a calming effect. Okay, so you had the parasympathetic breath, the physiological sigh, and humming. You can also do alternate nostril breathing. So there's a lot of yogic practices that focus on this too, where you place one finger on one nostril, use your thumb and your index finger, and breathe in through one nostril, and then place your finger on the other nostril and breathe out through your other nostril. So better explained, breathe in through only your right nostril, cover your right nostril, breathe out from your left nostril, and repeat from that side. In through your left nostril, cover your left nostril, out through your right nostril, and repeat. In through your right nostril, and do that for about a minute at least. And that will also help to activate your vagus nerve, basically. All right. So the next one, that was all about breathing. Now we can get into grounding and proprioception. So this is basically being able to just orient yourself in your space. And there's something calming about telling your body where it is in space and time. Because when we're triggered or when we're feeling fight or flight, sometimes we contract and it's like we just lose this awareness of our body when we're in this fear state. But if you look around and you're able to name objects around you and you're able to touch your body to ground yourself, you're telling your body that it knows where it's at in time and space. And I know that sounds a little funny, but it does have a direct impact on how you feel. And it's a way to communicate to your body that where I am right now in time and space in this dimension is safe. So the way that you can do this, again, like I said, is to just simply, when you're noticing you're stressed and you're triggered or you're shutting down and you're just stuck in this nervous system dysregulation, start to look around. Look around in your environment. Look in the room, look out the window, look at objects. Let your eyes look around on things and name objects. Okay, there's a plant, there's a lamp. And it just signals to your body, because you're using your vision to look around, that, all right, there is actually no threat. There's no tiger behind that sofa. I can visually see that where my body is in time and space is actually safe. Another thing that you can do that helps is sensations. So you can put your, you know, energy and attention to feeling that your feet are on the floor, and you can push your palms together and give them a slight push and send your energy down away from your head, because again, the when we're triggered, all of the blood can flood to our arms and to the chest. So you're discharging a little bit of that energy when you're pushing your palms together, and when you're intentionally placing your awareness to your feet on your ground. So now I want to go into some more physical things that you can do with your body. One thing that you can do is neck stretching. So the vagus nerve runs up through your neck, and there's a lot of people who use devices to mechanically stimulate the vagus nerve. We want to be able to stimulate our vagus nerve ourselves for free here. So we're gonna do a little neck stretch. And this is not something too intense. It's not, you're not trying to, pull a muscle or anything. You want to be mindful about how you do this. And again, if you're watching, it's a little bit easier, but I'll explain with words too. So your hands and your arms are down or resting on a table. It's easier if you have a table, because when you rest your hands on the table, you can more intentionally pull your shoulders and your elbows down, just lightly, nothing too intense, but pull your elbows and your shoulders down. And then it doesn't matter which side you start with, but we're just going to start with the left. You want to look to the left and slightly up to stretch the muscle on your right side of your neck. So I have to turn back to the microphone so you can hear me. But basically stretch, look up. So you don't want to go all the way up, but just to the left and slightly up. So you're at a diagonal angle and hold that for at least 10 seconds. So I'm not going to do the whole thing so you don't have to wait for me here. And then you do the same thing on the other side. Turn and look slightly up to give that stretch on the left side and hold for 10 seconds. And then release. So that's an easy neck stretch that you can do. Another physical thing that you can do is place your fingers, you only need two fingers, where your eyebrows are, so where the beginning of your eyebrows are. There are some nerves here, and you can give yourself a gentle massage where the beginning of your eyebrows are, and just wiggle them around. And it's interesting because a lot of times when people are stressed, they usually place their hands here anyways. You know, when people are like, oh, and they automatically put their hand where in between their eyebrows. So just place your fingers there, and it's surprising how much stress that we can hold in the face, actually. So just give yourself a little massage around the area in between your eyebrows. You can slide your fingers over your eyebrows and to the side, give your temples a little massage. And then you can go into your ears. So I want you to place a thumb inside of your ear and then give yourself a massage in and around your ear. So not the ear, not the dangly earlobe, but where the entrance of your ear is on the inside. Just a nice little massage inside of the ear. You can also do a jaw relaxation and tongue drop. So a lot of times you have tension in our jaw, in our jaw. So release your jaw and let your tongue drop. This might actually it immediately made me yawn. This is making me yawn. Yawning is also a sign that your vagus nerve is relaxing. So obviously this is working because now I'm starting to yawn, and that's a good sign. If you start yawning doing these things, it means that you're beginning to relax. So I was already pretty chill starting this, but now I'm feeling even more chill. And the thing is, with this, it's not about just being super relaxed all the time because sometimes you need to be alert and awake and to do things. So again, this is about enabling you with tools so that you can choose yourself which states you want to dip in and out of. So I'm feeling very, very relaxed here now. So this it has an immediate effect. But yeah, we're gonna do the drop your jaw. It's making me yawn again. And stick out your tongue and let it chill out and relax out. This also signals to your brain that you're not in danger. Because the reason our body contracts when we anticipate danger is because if you have to do something fast, if you have to do an immediate jump or brace yourself to protect yourself, it helps for your body already it tenses up so that you can protect yourself better. But if you intentionally relax your body and your jaw, then it signals to your body that it's safe. All right. There's the last one. This one, I'm like, I don't do it so much myself, but you can do this too. And it's just to splash some cold water on your face. And it triggers the dive reflex, which is an immediate downshift. So I want to finalize with a couple other things. So we did some breathing, we did some physical things, we did some proprioception things. These are all great tools. And then we also have anchors. So you can write a list of places, people, things, situations that automatically trigger a relaxed state in you. It could be your favorite cup of tea. It could be calling your mom. It could be calling a friend that you trust. And it's okay that we have some anchors outside of ourselves. So all of the other ones, I was like, it's all about you. And I want to finish with it's okay to co-regulate with other people, things, situations, places. So if you have a pet, if there's a particular room in your house that you meditate in, you feel relaxed in, if there's a walk in the park, there's a particular plant, anything that has an anchor of safety. I want you to write all of these things down so that you can remind yourself of these things, places, people, situations that will trigger a relaxed feeling in you so that you have this toolbox to be like, oh, I'm feeling a little triggered. I'll go for a walk. Oh, I'm feeling a little triggered. I'll pet my pet. Oh, I'm feeling a little triggered. Oh, I usually feel better when I make my cinnamon tea. Have these anchors available to you so that you know, okay, I can co-regulate with some external things as well. That's totally okay. Don't write down people that you usually get in arguments with or usually are, this is not the most understanding or compassionate, or they themselves are not able to regulate or understand what you're going through. Don't write down situations that could trigger more stress. If you're dysregulated, it's probably not the best idea to say yes to a going out to an overstimulating place with lots of music and it's not an organized, harmonious place. Think of what will bring safety to your body. And okay, I said that was going to be the last one, but this is actually going to be the last one. There are some movement things that you can do too. So you can shake. So shake your arms, shake your hands, shake your shoulders, and that will help to release sympathetic charge. So you're feeling tension in your body. So like I said earlier, your body will naturally tense up to be like, I'm ready to brace myself. I'm ready to take a hit and fight. But if that's not needed, you can release that energy from your body by shaking your body, by walking, just going for a walk. Sometimes if something happens and you need to take a breather, walking really helps to discharge the sympathetic energy. And the repetitive movement of the swinging of the arms also signals to your body that you're safe. Another thing that you can do is the cat-cow spinal movement. If you're a yogi, you've done yoga, you know what the cat-cow is. If you don't, this is what you do. You go down on your hands and your knees on the floor and you arch your back and you curve your back. So you make these spinal movements and you do that for about at least a minute. And that actually massages the vagal pathway along the spine. And it can also help to release some sympathetic charge. So this was a lot. I want you to take note of all of this and I'll make a little summary here now. And I think I'll put in the show notes too, a list of all the different practices that you can do. Save this episode to come back to listen to it again and write down the key points that you want to remember that you can take with you. And to summarize what we went through is number one, being able to label your state. Are you in fight or flight? Are you in shutdown? Or are you feeling safe? And then you can do the physiological sigh, the breathing exercises that I shared with you. You can do the neck stretches side to side. You can massage in between your eyebrows, over your eyebrows, your temples, the inside of your ears. Will make you help relax a lot. You can relax your jaw, stick out your tongue. You can orient yourself in time, space, look around in the room. Am I safe? Name some objects and tell your body it's safe. There's no threat in my physical environment, assuming that that's the case, obviously. If it's not, then obviously your nervous system is working great and it's telling you to get into a safe environment. But assuming you're in a safe environment, and you can also, whilst you're doing this, just give your body some affirmations of like, I feel safe. I am safe here. So that will give you a bit of a mental reassurance too, alongside the physiological things that we just talked about. So that was the episode for today. I hope you found this helpful. Please share it with a friend. Having these tools available can completely change the trajectory of your day, your week, your month, and how you're able to handle the rest of the day. Because again, if you're in high pressure environments, if you've got a lot of responsibility, maybe you're running a business, maybe you have a family, and you're sick and tired of being dysregulated and feeling emotionally drained, then all of these practices will 100% help you a lot, I promise. So go ahead and implement and share how these practices will change your life because I promise you that they will. Okay, thank you for listening in, and I will see you in the next episode.